Forget about auditing finances. Today, we're going deep, I mean literally miles underground, to run a forensic audit on something way more important: the life support systems of a theoretical hidden city. We're going to peel back the layers on the incredible biology and physics it would take to keep a secret civilization alive and breathing miles beneath our feet. So, let's start with a simple question. How do you hide a city? Seems straightforward, right? But what if that city is completely sealed off from the rest of the world? Suddenly, the challenge isn't just about staying hidden. It's about staying alive. You see, you're not just hiding from spy satellites up in orbit. No, you are in a bare-knuckle brawl with the fundamental laws of physics. And in that fight, if you lose, everybody inside is dead. It's as simple as that. Okay, so picture this. You're in a sealed box, miles underground. Immediately, you're up against two massive existential threats. And these aren't just little problems you can engineer your way around easily. These are laws of nature that are actively trying to turn your sanctuary into a tomb. It all starts with power. You need a ton of it, which means something like a gigawatt-class nuclear reactor. But here is the killer. For every 1 gigawatt of electricity that reactor makes, it generates a staggering 3 gigawatts of pure, raw waste heat. We're talking 3 billion joules of thermal energy flooding your sealed box every single second. And with miles of rock insulating you, that heat has absolutely nowhere to go. So the base doesn't just get a little toasty, it becomes a city-sized convection oven. In a matter of days, the temperature would blast past 200 degrees Fahrenheit. Nothing survives that. All right, that's crisis number 1. Now for the biological one. Let's say you have 50,000 people down there. Well, they're going to generate about 2.5 million pounds of sewage and organic waste every year. That's, a lot. And you can't just flush it up to the surface without basically sending up a giant flare that says, secret base right here. And if you just let all that stuff pile up in a sealed system, it starts to decay. You get toxic hydrogen sulfide gas, which will poison the air, and you get massive, massive amounts of methane gas, which is explosive. Your entire city becomes a pressurized, poisonous time bomb just waiting to go off. So how in the world do you solve that catastrophic heat problem? Well, here's the genius of it. You don't try to fight the planet. You hijack it. You build what's essentially a thermodynamic firewall, a system designed to invisibly dump all that deadly heat. The key piece of tech here is a closed-loop heat exchanger. Now, the principle is beautiful in its simplicity. You have 2 separate plumbing systems that can transfer heat between each other without a single molecule of one fluid ever touching the other. That concept, total and absolute separation, is what makes this entire thing work. So let's talk about loop 1. This is the dirty loop. It's a totally sealed system inside the base. A coolant, maybe liquid sodium, flows right next to the reactor core, and it gets insanely hot and lethally radioactive. This stuff is designed to never, ever see the light of day. But here is where the magic happens. Loop 2. This system taps into these massive, deep earth aquifers and starts pumping millions of gallons of freezing cold water through its own set of huge titanium pipes. Now, this clean water flows past the hot, radioactive pipes, and it absorbs all that reactor heat right through the pipe walls. But because they never mix, it stays 100% radiologically and chemically pure. And the result? It is just brilliant. You take that now boiling, but still perfectly clean water, and you just inject it miles away, back deep into the earth. The base's thermal signature, that 3 gigawatt heat lamp that should be visible from space, it's gone. It is literally swallowed by the planet. Okay, heat crisis solved. Now what about that, biological bomb? Well, the solution here is maybe even more elegant. It's a bioengineered system that doesn't just get rid of the waste, it weaponizes it, turns it into fuel. Let me introduce you to the workforce. Methanogens. These are these amazing little ancient microbes, and they're perfect for the job because they hate oxygen, and their whole purpose in life is to eat organic waste and, well, fart out pure methane gas. Now, natural methanogens, they're fine, but they're kind of slow, a little bit picky. That's where CRISPR comes in. You can take these little guys and genetically engineer them into superbacteria. We're talking an exponentially faster metabolism, a high resistance to toxins, and the ability to eat just about any kind of waste you can throw at them.
And look, this isn't some science fiction idea. The blueprint is sitting right there in the public record. U.S. Patent 10,125,380b2. It lays out in explicit detail how to use genetic engineering to create these hyper-efficient, waste-eating machines.
So what you end up with are these enormous, sealed vats of boiling sewage just teeming with these engineered microbes. And they don't just neutralize the toxic waste, they convert it into a constant supply of highly pressurized methane gas, biogas, which you can then harvest to help power the city.
Okay, let's step back and put these two pieces together. What do you get when you combine this thermodynamic magic trick with a biological furnace? You don't just have a bunker anymore. You have something else entirely.
What you get is a perfect, self-sustaining loop. The reactor powers everything. Its waste heat is used to keep the bacteria working at peak efficiency in the sewage. The bacteria churn out methane, which creates more power. And all the while, the Earth's deep aquifers are silently washing away the final heat waste. It's a perfect mechanical Ouroboros, the ancient snake eating its own tail. An endless cycle. So what's the verdict here? This is not just some shelter you hide in to wait out a storm. No, this is an independent, self-eating, self-sustaining mechanical ecosystem. It is engineered from the ground up to operate in total isolation. And maybe, just maybe, to outlive the entire world on the surface. Which really just leaves us with one last big question. When you go to such incredible lengths to build a perfect ecosystem, an immortal fortress completely cut off from the rest of humanity, what kind of event are you preparing for?